Hello, everybody. So this is my recording for season three of Dexter. I recorded season one, I recorded season two, and it's been a couple of months before I'm recording season three. I haven't had many opportunities to record anything lately, the last few 3 4 months. So this is the only opportunity that I have. Unfortunately, I can't try my new mic because the new mic that I just got for Christmas is locked away right now. But this opportunity that I have to record has been very, very rare. And I have to do this as much as I can, get as much recordings as I can get done right now. And I don't really know how my new mic works or how to set it up. So I just have to, use this one for now. Hopefully, this comes out well. I ended up dropping it, and the metal piece actually almost ripped out of the mic, out of the receiving part. So let's hope that this doesn't come out bad sounding. So I'm gonna be quick. Season three of Dexter. I'm gonna just kind of go through my notes, and I'm sorry if some notes don't make sense. I was supposed to be going through these episodes on my DVD and correlating my notes with the DVD as I'm watching it. I just don't have the time, and I'm just kind of taking this opportunity to do what I can. Third season is about partnerships. So let's see, episode one of season three. Um, okay, an Easter egg that I wrote in my notes. Dexter's 77th victim was in this episode. Um, so I also wrote that Dexter's humanity and his authority don't like each other. Deb's character represents Dexter's humanity in his mind, and LaGuerta represents Dexter's authority. So the fact that his humanity and his authority don't get along makes sense for the simple fact that Dexter's main sense of going through life and his overall, hierarchy of law or whatever ultimately does express itself in so many dark and selfish ways, so Dexter being darker, of course, it's not going to work out between his authority, what he chooses to be his authority, and what his human side wants. Of course, they're not going to mix very well. um I did write that there was a distance in innocence, which means there was some distance with Rita's character because Rita's character represents innocence. So when Dexter does feel distant from his innocent side, then that's usually when him and Rita don't really get along too well. Um, Someone is keeping Oh yes, keeping humanity in check, which was basically keeping Deb in check. Dexter is just keeping his humanity in check, and you can see how that's representative in Deb's character constantly being told, "Oh, you're off the case. Go sit down. Don't get involved in this." Things like that. In this episode, Deb and Dexter are trying to humanize Harry, simply meaning that Harry, as a figure, represents something to Dexter's dark side, which does manifest as Harry being the voiceover, the voice in his head, but also Dexter's character trying to find a sense of humanity within his father, which is the struggle that Deb has with trying to find a sense of balance within Harry. With Deb representing Dexter's humanity side, whatever revelation, good conclusion that Deb has is Dexter's human side finding closure within the past that he had with his dad, Harry. I did write about Angel getting promoted and recklessly buying drinks. I believe what that note was is that, yeah, whenever something exciting happens to us in life, then what we do is we kind of overindulge and things get a bit crazy. Episode 2 of season 1 of Dex. Sorry, episode 2 of season 3 of Dexter. I wrote, yeah, partnership and authority. Um, that is that is a big theme of this season. The whole connection between Miguel and LaGuerta being uh Miguel being more of a partnership kind of character, but Miguel also being like a voice of taking control. And so Miguel kind of teaches Dexter in this season how to take control of his life in certain areas of his life. And you see the relationship of Dexter learning how to take control of his life, having a strong connection with his sense of authority, which is the relationship between Miguel and LaGuerta. Dexter is having a hard time figuring out his situation with the baby and how to feel about the baby. So when he's actually in the bathroom with Miguel in this with on Angel, sorry, with Angel in this scene, Dexter's like, "Hey, I have a baby and I don't know how to feel about it." When Dexter's talking with Angel, Dexter's actually talking to his righteousness in his mind, and his righteousness is saying, "Hey, a baby, that's great, that's awesome." So Dexter is intuitively knowing that, how having a baby is good and how the righteous part of him loves the idea of being a father and having a baby. Um, let's see. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so Freebo's character I wrote in my notes equals being lost, or sense of limbo or whatever, but basically being lost or being a ghost, a sense of searching for something. So that's what I ended up writing for season 2, I believe, episode 2, but that's when he dies, when Dexter gets him. Now episode 3 of season 3. Um, choosing to be a good partner. Choosing to be a good partner. Rita gives Dexter the choice. This baby's happening with or without you, but it's up to you if you want to be in its life or what your role in its life is going to be. So now, when it comes to being a partner, it's important to choose. It's important to want to choose to be a good partner to somebody. It is very, very important. Um, when you are in a partnership with somebody, you can't force them to be good. You can't force them to be a certain way. There has to be a choice on both ends on how things are going to turn out or how they're going to be. Um, that comes into play in this season. Um, Dexter went and got his brain scanned. When you are looking to be a good partner to somebody or be a partner, it's important for one to dissect themselves mentally, spiritually, emotionally, really understand who you are at a deeper level. Um, Once you start to really engage in growing with somebody, with a partner, you have to understand that there are parts of yourself that need to be looked at. And it's important to look at these things before you get involved into another partnership and possibly infect or bring whatever you are into the relationship. And you don't want things to get complicated and weird and out of control because you refuse to see something and that thing ends up just manifesting as hurtful things in a relationship. So it is important for someone to dissect themselves and understand who they are for the relationship and understand what they bring into it whenever you're in a partnership. That includes a relationship or even working on a project together or something like that. um, yeah, every now and then there does have to be a dominant partner or someone who is dominant and telling or expressing when things have to be done. It can be great experiences sometimes when people are withdrawn. Having a dominant partner saying, "Hey, we're gonna go do this right now," can be a great thing. A partner will resist you. A partner will resist you if they feel like if they feel pressured against their will to do something. So it is important that you do not let your partner feel that way, because your partner will say, "Hey, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be involved in this. I don't want to be. I'm gonna, I'm gonna get angry with you because you're forcing me to do this." It's important that it's okay to be dominant in certain situations, but don't pressure your partner against their will to do something or be a certain way because they will resist it. And that resistance can manifest or be shown in so many different ways, being stingy, being stubborn, so many different ways. Um, it is important to be vulnerable with your partner. Um, I know a lot of people don't want to be that way. They don't want to do that, but it is important. As a relationship starts to grow, vulnerability is needed because vulnerability does open oneself into growing into a certain way. It's important to feel comfortable with being vulnerable with your partner in certain areas. Um, I think in this episode, Dexter and Miguel bond over their fatherly issues. And because they have that sense of connection with each other, of father issues, that's what kind of brings them closer in that regard, in that area, because they realize they have something in common. And once they're vulnerable about this thing they have in common, they're able to kind of reprogram what these complex emotions are, what they mean, if they're negative and if they need some sense of guidance. Um, yes, the next note I wrote for episode 3 was Dexter getting his brain scan done with Harry. Dexter goes and self evaluates himself, and when Harry looks at the brain scans, the X rays, and he says, "So look, it's the exact same as your brain, Dex." This episode really does talk about the idea of Dexter, the way that Dexter's brain is developed. There are other people out there who are also traumatized, who also have a deficiency in certain areas or who are damaged in certain areas. And what happened is, even though the damage can be the same, how that damage is directed, how that damage is handled is what matters. And, we could all be damaged in the same areas. You could be damaged in the same areas, someone you're close to. And how that pain can be expressed can be very different. So it is important to know that even if someone looks at someone else and says, "You're messed up in the head, you're crazy because this, and this," you could be the exact same amount of damage as them, but you express yourself in a different way, or how you've been told to handle your problems can be different. I won't get too controversial right now, but there are times in society when there are groups of people who look at other groups of people and say, "We don't like you, we hate you, there's something wrong with you, violent things need to happen to you." And it's like, in some people's minds, both sides, both of these other groups are the exact same. But to these groups, they look at each other as though they're different. But an outside force could look at these two groups that they're damaged in the exact same way. But yeah, that's something that this episode really talked about. Um, there is going to be. It is important to find a sense of balance and peace within yourself. It is important to find a sense of openness within yourself also, and there will be a fear sometimes when you evaluate yourself and you are open. You may find a fear of hurting your partner. That is normal. It is normal to feel that way, to feel like, I really don't want to hurt my partner, so I want to keep this part of them away. It's understandable to feel that sense of fear of hurting somebody. It's going to take baby steps as you start to get to know each other and grow and everything. It becomes easier. But just know that being afraid to hurt your partner is normal, but it should not stop you from being honest with them. Um, let's see what else I have for this episode. I have quite a few notes. Oh, Dexter tells Deb he's not sure if he wants to be a father to the baby. And then Deb, his humanity side, is like, "Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be all right as a dad." This is a very important scene because when it comes to being to partnerships, partnerships also go into mentorships. So mentorships, and just speaking, from this show perspective, from this show, being a mentor is very important, or being a father is important. It's not always about what you feel. Sometimes it's not about how you feel about hurting your partner, or hurting this person, hurting. Sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it is actually about the other person and the fact that they need help, that they need guidance, and that you're the one that can give it to them. So in this sense of partnership, you have to know that when you feel unprepared or you feel scared, it doesn't matter, because someone else or something else needs you. And sometimes that's got to be the sometimes it's got to be what you hold on to, to get going, to make it happen. This also includes future generations, whether we feel scared about helping each other or helping future generations, or we feel scared, or we feel like we're not prepared to do anything about the future. It's Sometimes it's not about how you feel in that moment. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you have to offer and what you're choosing to do about it. Even with me, and even with what I'm doing with these recordings, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm prepared. I don't have a lot of stuff. I don't have a lot of equipment. I don't have a lot of editors. I don't have a team. It's just me, and I'm limited to what I can do right now. I'm limited to my time. I'm limited to a lot, but I'm doing the best I can with what I have for you guys. for the people listening to this and for the future. So when it comes to being a mentor, it's important to put scared, unprepared feelings aside. Um, let's see what else I have for my notes for this episode. Um, Seeing the best in your partner helps your partner see the best in themselves. People might not always see that they're a good person. They may not know why someone's even with them, why your partner's with them. They're like, why are you even with me? But it is important to see your partner and say, you know what? I see in you as my partner, I see this good thing, and that good thing. And I appreciate that. And your partner may say, really? You see these things in me? I don't even see these things in myself. And partner can be like, yeah, this is what you offer. This is who you are. And sometimes by doing that, it helps your partner say, I didn't know I was that kind of a person. And then it means a lot. So seeing the good in your partner helps your partner see the good in themselves. So it is important to be with them in that regard and help them out. Um, let's all right. Let's see what I have for episode 4. Um, yeah. So if you have a secret, it is important that if you and your partner have a secret, it is important that you talk with your partner and ask them permission before revealing this secret to other people. It is important to sit down and have a discussion and say, hey, this thing that we know that we have, it's between us. Are we ready to let another person know about it? Are we really ready to let them in? Um um it is important to discuss these things and not just babble and say, oh yeah, me and my partner know this and blah blah blah, and then gossip starts. And when you do have a secret and you let other people in, you allow their energy to project influence onto into the situation of the secret that you know, and that can infect how your relationship can grow from this secret. So it is important to really discuss with your partner about secrets. Stuff, internal experiences that we as humans go through are very energetic. And when we allow other outside energies to infiltrate, those outside energies, which may not be for the best, can infect our good intent energy and can really manifest or grow your personal relationships in such a negative way. So even when you're by yourself and you're doing something business wise, it's important to keep it to yourself, because when you keep your business to yourself, you can keep your own motivator, your own best friend, your own pat on the back. But if you go telling people, you not only give a false sense of accomplishment, but also you allow their thoughts and their energies and their projections to affect how you feel about your own business or your own projects or your own work, and then you'll feel discouraged about it, and you may not do anything about it. So make sure you talk with your partners before sharing personal secrets with other people and allowing them in. um I put force. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So if in this one, this was more of a trying to force yourself versus embodying the person that you want to be. This was, yeah, episode 4. Um, I can't think right now how the show kind of went into that. I think it was more of everyone's kind of pretending to be a certain way. How do we know, a loving person from someone that's hurt? I think this was the episode where that woman ended up killing her lover, I believe, when they just met. But wait, I have the DVD. I can check. Oh, yeah, yes, I believe this was. It says it's a botched marriage proposal. So yeah, this was that episode. Um, you can't force yourself to be who you want to be, but you can take smaller steps to embody who it is you want to be. When you fully become the person that you want to be, you'll realize that the label ends up being behind you, but the experience is always going to be in the present of who you are right now. Um, Patience, empathy, and are very important when providing a safe space for your partner. It is very important that you give your partner a sense of empathy, of understanding where they're coming from, understanding what they're trying to say, why they're trying to say it. It is important to have patience with the situation and have patience with your partner and have patience with them trying to go heal from something that they're going through. And it is very important to provide them a safe space where they can lay out all of their emotions and figure out why it is they're feeling the way that they feel without worry of any kind of judgment or punishment from their partner or from the person that they care about or love. When you are involved in a loving relationship, you have a responsibility to that other person, and how you treat that other person does affect how a person's heart loves, how a person's heart grows, or how it's shut off. I know so many people in relationships right now who openly say, "Oh, I'm in a relationship and I literally love my partner, but I keep my heart locked away permanently from everybody, even my partner." Which I know seems a little counterproductive or whatever, contradictory. But it's important to give your partners understanding, empathy, patience, and you give them safe space for them to be who they need to be, so that way they can work through what they need to work through and know that someone's there, has their back, and that they can open up their hearts, and they know that it'll be okay, that they can go through this chaos, that they can come out the other side and be okay, and not go through all this chaos and come out the other side and be hurt. One important thing it is also to know that a sense of humanity does not always equal empathy. A sense of humanity does equal sympathy. It can be sympathetic, but empathy is a deeper thing. Um, so it is important to know that there is a difference between sympathy and empathy. Let's see what else. I have a lot of notes for these next few episodes. Episode 4. Um, Angel and Barbara, the Barbara Gianni, their character arcs shows is a representation of inner conflict that Dexter has between his sense of righteousness, but also his sense of, I guess, duty, and just how does one be a good person, but also take care of their primal needs of their needs of who they are as a person. How do they keep that satisfied, but at the same time be seen as a good person? You see that conflict kind of manifesting within Barbara Gianni and on Angel Batista's character. And sometimes the thing that we need in life, sometimes the thing that we need for our lives to feel better, is the sense of duty that we have. And sometimes the deeper needs that we have in the world, sometimes the deeper needs that we have come with just being honest about who we are and being honest as to why we need them. When we're honest about why we need certain things, then it becomes easier to accept them. And when they do happen, there's no harsh judgments there. But yeah, that was their conflict. And yeah, I went over exploring ourselves to figure out who we want to be, and um as a partner, it's important to give your partner space to do that. Let's see. Skip that. Oh, and the end of season episode 4, I wrote the commitments to a version of ourselves. Yeah, there are so many different sides to us as people, and sometimes we just have to decide what version of ourselves what side do we really want to be committed to. Um, Sometimes commitment isn't always about suppressing all the other sides. Sometimes it's about understanding that all the sides have a whole, and sometimes the commitment comes to committing to the source of what manifests all the other versions of who we are. Once you find a way to connect there, then relationships, partnerships become a lot easier. Um, Now we go to episode 5. Um, wow, I'm actually skipping a lot of notes right now that I wrote for the series, and but I mainly want to stick to the message. Episode 5. Wow, I wrote the consequences of being locked in a role and how others see you. Well, um, yeah, whenever we're locked into a certain personality, other parts of ourselves may be neglected, and they can come out in various ways, and people will look at you like, "Oh, I don't even know you, and you were never like this when I met you," and things like that. It's like, no, it's just when someone commits to being in one role, or committing to one version of themselves, the other versions of themselves are going to feel neglected, and then that's going to later on manifest as other problems for a partnership. So it's important not to really balance out, how others see you. Really, yeah, balance out how other people see you versus the truth of who you are. Um, Now this was actually an issue, and I do actually have to watch this episode. This is losing control and losing sanctuary in partnership. Um, yeah, that's an issue. Let's see. Yeah, so it's important to see each other and respect each other for who they are, who they are at their core. If one person is, if one person is a vegetarian, one person likes meat, it's important to respect each other in that regard and not say, "Hey, you suck because you're different." It's, if you want the partnership to work, then you have to understand that people are going to be their own individual person with their own individual needs and their own individual paths. Just know that being in a relationship together only means that one of many paths is just being taken and growing. But all the other paths in an individual's life are still needing to be taken by the individual person. But just the path of love or partnership is what's being taken with, you. Um, so it is important to understand that and say, hey, you're a person who's going down the path of success, whereas the partner is going down the path of mental health. And it's important not to say, oh, if you're going to be successful in life, then you need to understand that all this mental stuff and all this depression is just in your head, and you have to get over all of that stuff if you're ever going to be successful. Throw all that out the window. And the other partner can say, yo, mental health is a real thing, it's a real problem. And these people want to be alive for their own lives, they want to be awake for their own lives. And maybe success is just a cover up to suppress what one's really feeling, just to have a sense of accomplishment based on the expectations of other people. So, like what I'm trying to say is you can have these individual people as one of success and one person of, mental health. Instead of judging each other about each other's goals and paths, it is important to respect each other, no matter how different. That's the ability of love, is to accept things for being different. It it does hurt a lot when someone says they're losing control or they're losing sanctuary in a partnership. When they feel like their trust is broken. Uh that that hurts a lot. And it's important to understand what your partner's feeling and to help provide your partner what they need to be able to feel like they can positively influence and to feel like they can be safe again in a partnership. It is important to apologize and mean it. Um, next thing, trust in your partner's abilities and stand up for their skills, as in with Deb and Quinn. Um, trust, Quinn had to trust that Deb was a good cop. And when someone questioned that, Quinn was like, "She is a great cop. You don't know what you're talking about. She's a good person." Same thing with Masuka. Masuka's the best. Masuka's the best forensics guy that we have, um, and we trust in his abilities. It is important to have faith, trust in your partner's abilities and their capabilities, and when what they can do. Trust in what your partner can do, and help defend their skills. If someone tries to threaten or say, "Oh, you're terrible at this, you're awful," it is important that you stand up and say, "Hey, no, no, no. My partner's good. My partner's actually a great person. You don't know what you're talking about. this, and this. These are reasons why this is good. You know, I do that all the times with movies. Some people say, "Oh, this director made a sucky movie." I'm just like, no, this director did not make a sucky movie. They literally just pushed the bounds of art and pushed the capabilities of what art represents. And this and this and this is why this person was actually a great artist and why this piece of art was actually perfect. That's just an example. Something that I do. All right. Yes, put your partnership first over your own self interests. Sometimes you do have to do that for the sake of the partnership to grow. Because if the partnership has to grow or the partnership has to stay afloat, and if you're like, nah, I think I'm going to go do this thing real quick, you hinder the relationship overall. And the relationship or the partnership represents something. And if you jeopardize what that represents, all for the sake of you trying to do a side thing, then that messes with the sanctity of what the relationship stands for. So it is important to know when the relationship has to be put first before an individual's self interest. This also that is called compromise. You have to learn how to compromise in any kind of partnership or any kind of relationship. A lot of people can say, "Oh, I don't even want a relationship if that's the case. I don't want to sacrifice any part of myself for the sake of them or another person." But then if you say that, then you say you don't want a world of understanding or love. Simply because we have a bunch of different groups of people that exist in society, and each group of society, every faction has their own sense of beliefs. And what we do is we fight each other and we make these groups fight against each other instead of actually getting to know who they are, understanding what their overall role is, understanding that we have to take our limiting beliefs and put those aside to understand why the overall situation, why the overall ecosystem is the word I think I'm looking for, why the overall ecosystem works with all these different factions. Why is it that I don't want to start naming different groups, but all of these things are very important and they help keep society balanced. So the reason why I say that is because compromise is important when finding peace within each other in the world, also with family, also with relationships. It's not every time you come in contact with an outside force, you are engaging in a relationship with that outside force. And there are rules and boundaries that have to be put in place in order to keep it balanced between you and it. It's not always about a romantic relationship and how do we treat each other in this romantic relationship. How you treat each other in a romantic relationship is literally how you treat the world or how we treat each other. The only difference is that we have different labels. So, therefore, since we have different labels, we try to invest different emotions into this particular relationship or this particular situation. So yeah, compromise is important. And understand when you need to put your stupid, selfish, personal stuff aside and let the relationship grow. Also, know when to put your ego aside to help the ecosystem of the village or the country grow. Anyway, hope I'm still recording. I am, and I'm like, okay. Episode 6, almost done. Yeah, okay. Reason leads to self preservation. Okay. No, no, no. Oof. Okay, this was a rough one to get into. Um. Okay. Finding understanding within oneself, finding understanding helps an individual grow with a relationship. Finding a reason or an understanding helps the relationship grow when there's a good, reason for why the relationship is there, it's happening. um, you may see, you may get a new partner, and you may see a side to this new partner that you don't like. When you're in a partnership, you may see a side to your partner that you don't like. But understand that sometimes that part that you don't like about your partner, if it wasn't there, then what made the partnership work in the first place may not be there. So therefore the relationship may not actually exist unless that part that you don't like in your partner wasn't there to begin with. A little strange thing to say, but sometimes when someone is spontaneous, sometimes it's the spontaneity that keeps the relationship fun. And you may say, I don't like how spontaneous they are because I never know when they're going to do this or when they're going to do that or when a day is going to be taken up. I just don't like the unpredictability. But at the same time, if it wasn't for that, you may have gotten bored of that person and may have been like, yeah, I'm going to leave you. And if you left, then the relationship would have never happened. So sometimes you will see things in a partner that you do not like, but try to understand if that particular thing that you don't like about your partner may be the thing that's actually holding you guys close together. Let's see. I also wrote a mercy kill. Know when a situation needs to end. Yeah. So when a partnership isn't working out, know when it needs to end and know when to say, hey, we should probably end this right now while things are good and not wait for them to get terrible and abusive and angry. And then we have a kid and we just hate each other and ruin each other's lives and ruin each other's futures and ruin the kids' mental health. Let's just see where we're at now. And if we can agree that this isn't working out right now, then maybe we need to agree to just kind of end it. So know when it's important to end a situation before it gets rough. I ended up getting, somehow I hurt one of my nails. Personal story, whatever. But one of my nails ended up bending, and it like tore somehow. The entire bottom and the sides of my nail actually tore off, but the middle was still stuck on like the flesh part. So it was very painful. No matter what direction I moved my nail, it was like stuck in the middle through the flesh. So I thought, okay, this just happened like yesterday, so that's why I'm bringing this up as an example. So I thought to myself, okay, I can hold it in place, give it a few days, give it some time. And I tried to give it some time to heal, and it was just hurting and hurting. So I decided, okay, I can leave my nail on and let it take its time healing, or I could just kind of end it right now and just take the whole nail off. So I went ahead and just took the whole nail off. It was rather painful, a lot of twisting involved, but I did it. And once the nail came off, then the pain wasn't there. It's like, yeah, it sometimes it's best to end things that are painful than to like wait, try and wait for them to heal. You just got to know when that is, and you can't force it to happen. If it's in your heart, then you'll know. You both will know. You all will know when something is worth fighting for versus are we trying to force this to work? You can't force it to work. Don't try. Um yes, so I'm on episode 7 of season 3 now. And I only wrote for 10 episodes. So yeah, so I only have 4 episodes left. Oh, I'm still recording, cool. So I only have 4 episodes left. Um yeah, sometimes in a partner we get stuck seeing what we want to see in a partner versus who they are. Yeah, that's a common thing that we do as people. We fall in love, and when we fall in love with them, sometimes we only want to see the best in them, or we only want to see this and this in them. And sometimes we don't want to see them for who they really are. It is good to see the best in a partner and have them see the best in themselves, you know. But if you have a partner that's blatantly making you feel terrible, that's making blatantly making you feel bad about yourself, bad about being happy, bad about your existence, and if you're just constantly trying to lie and try and see the best in them, but they're constantly making you feel awful, destroying you, then there's a problem there. So just be aware of seeing what you want to see in people versus seeing who they actually are. Um, Partnerships expand horizons and extend. Yeah, partnerships, they can grow, they can, evolve. Simple things, as with me and my writing and my projects. If I had a team working with me, I'm pretty sure that what I have to offer the world would escalate to such a huge degree if I had a team to work to help me with all of this. But right now, it's just me. And, even if it's a feeling or if it's an emotion, if you have a partner, you and that partner can basically become like batteries and charge each other up. And you can help expand a situation or a feeling or an emotion or a situation. But yeah, partnerships can help expand horizons. Understand when you need one or need some. Um, Friends will fight. Friends need to apologize when they're wrong, and friends don't give up on one another. They don't give up on each other. Know that fighting is normal. Fighting is always going to be a thing that happens in every partnership. It's normal, but it's no reason to say, "Oh, we're fighting." Well, you know, big F you, and you're done. Get out of my life forever. Friends fight, people fight, and I've been talking for hours. Sorry. And when they fight, you just learn to apologize and be like, "I had a bunch of anger and rage. My bad for hurting your feelings." And partners got to say, "It's alright." Oh gosh, this. Sorry, my dog is next to me. All right. Friends fight. Oh, so here's a side note I wrote about. Oh, yes, this is a little side note about this episode of Dexter. This is when Dexter was talking with Camilla, and Camilla was saying, I need the perfect key lime pie, as she was in the hospital. Dexter brings Rita in because Dexter cannot kill an innocent, nor does he want to hurt an innocent person. That is not how his dark side works. So, Dexter, in this episode, bringing Rita into the hospital room to meet Camilla was actually symbolic to Dexter in his mind, connecting his innocence to the situation of what's going on. So that way he can do his deed, but his innocent side won't be threatened at all. His innocent side sees what's going on and sees what needs to properly be done for Camilla. Um, that was the symbolism of bringing Rita in to see Camilla at the hospital. A little side note. All right, now back to partnerships. Episode 8. All right, 3 more episodes and we're done. Only have 6 more. I only have 6 more notes, although I might add a 7th one for the Skinner. Okay, let's see. Oof. I'm not sure how to get into that one. So for this one, I wrote the butterfly effect. Um, seeds and partnerships and influence. Yeah. So in relationships, especially long-lasting relationships, you will notice every day is every day, but something very small may happen, and that small thing may happen. You may be like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of say this in the moment and then move on. Then you'll do that 6 months down the line, 7 months down the line, 2 years down the line. That one little itty bitty thing that you said may actually resurface and cause a bigger problem. And you'll notice also in relationships, long lasting relationships, small seeds just get planted in various areas and they get influenced in so many different ways depending on how the relationship goes on, how feelings grow for each other. A situation that happened a long time ago may be fed with negative emotion and may resurface or bloom simply because your relationship isn't doing so well now. So, a small, innocent seed that was planted back a long time ago may be, may be watered with a current negative emotion, and then a past situation becomes a big tree in the room. So, yeah, just know that with every relationship, there's always going to be these tiny little itty bitty increments of things that happen, and you may just keep them to yourself for months at a time, for weeks at a time, for years at a time, and eventually they'll just resurface. Someone will slip up and say something, but that's just something normal within partnerships. Um, oh, this was more of a lore of Dexter, which was Dexter ended up killing the lawyer, and her name was actually very symbolic. And I can't believe I don't have her name down. But her name was symbolic. She was LaGuardia's friend, and she was morally gray. Um, uh, yeah. So Dexter had problems with his morally gray area, and it was his overindulgence or his control that kills his morally gray side. But I don't would rather not get into all that right now. Let's see what else my notes say. Ooh, yes. Sharing your reality doesn't mean the same motivation. Yeah. Oh, this is the hardest thing about relationships. And I honestly don't even want to say this out loud. I don't, because it hurts me. But this is when you share something with another person and it means a lot to you, or you share something, a project with a partner, and you're both working on it, and then you get to the end of the project and it's like, oh yeah, we did it, and then you end up realizing that your partner the whole time had different motivations for why this project was being done versus you thought the whole time you guys were on the same page, but you weren't. They had their own agenda, and you just assumed that you were on the same page. This is always the hardest thing. Um, I would share my emotions with certain people through watching television or movies because of a sense of trauma that I went through when I was younger. And the only way I knew how to connect with people was actually to watch movies, which is one reason why I'm doing these commentaries. I didn't know how to process or connect with people, so movies and TV shows were how I did it. And when I was younger and I would watch movies or a TV show with somebody, it would be me trying to connect with them or trying to express emotionally, what I'm feeling, and I would share it with them. And then we would go through all these shows, go through all these seasons and movies, and I'd be like, "Oh, that was beautiful. This character and this meant this represented this, and this character felt like this." And other person would be like, "Oh, I just wanted to watch all the people kill each other or something." It's like, oh, but like the people that were in the war, they were going through all this stuff and they had to learn how to rely on each other and find the strength to overcome their fears so that way they could fight and learn how to be a family. And they didn't like each other at first, so they had to learn how to bond and understand what the meaning of love represented so that way they knew how to trust each other. And was through that overcoming and that love and that trust that they were able to find the strength to go through a bigger war and fight a darkness that was bigger than them, that they otherwise could not do it without each other. And the other person would be all like, oh no, I just want to see them kill each other, I just wanted the violence, that's all. That was just a personal experience that I went through. And being young at the time, it hurt. Because I'm like, oh, like all of these complex emotions and feelings that's going on inside of me. And I wanted to share all of those and what it felt like in the world. And it hurts. But sometimes that's how it is. Sometimes it's because you feel you have a connection with somebody and you're sharing something with each other. Sometimes the other person could have a different motive. So it's important to communicate, before you fall. Yeah, it's important to communicate that. All right. Moving on from that, because I feel sad. um, oh, this is more of the lore of Dexter. This is when Dexter's sense of control was manipulating his innocence and his authority. And this was when Dexter's need of control of everything around him was represented in the Miguel character, and it was manipulating Rita and LaGuerta, and Miguel was just trying to manipulate those two characters. It was because this sense of control started to possess Dexter in various ways, and it was getting out of control in his life. It was, and he couldn't maintain it, and his innocence was being threatened. his innocence was being lied to, and his sense of authority was being lied to by this infiltration that was Miguel, what Miguel represented, which was overindulgence of the wrong things in life. The last two notes I wrote: when you care about something or someone, you have a natural instinct to protect it. The last note that I wrote um, was Dexter and Deb talk. I don't know what talk that was. I would have to find the DVD to find it, but because that is the last note that I wrote for this, it is important that I find out what that talk was. Okay, so I just looked at the scene. So the last note that I wrote was when Deborah told Dexter she was so worried about Anton when he was missing, and now that she got him back, she just thinks, about how wrong he is for her. Not that they love each other, or that she feels like you're the way you're supposed to when you're with someone, that you love, that you really care about. And she was wondering if it was bad, or does that make her crazy that she was so worried she wanted him, and now that he was there, she was just like, yeah, he's wrong for me. No, that's normal. It's nothing wrong with her. She wasn't crazy. She did say, how she just thought about how wrong he was for her, but also how bad it makes her look. I don't want to get too much into that because that goes into so many different complex emotions. But um, when you are with the right person, you feel proud to have them around. You feel proud to be seen with them. You feel proud to be out in public, and you feel happy with them. Even you don't even have to feel pride. You can just feel normal. You can feel at peace. You can feel a sense of just bliss or nothingness when you are in public with your partner. But if you do feel good with a partner and you feel embarrassed to be with them, there are unresolved issues within yourself, that have to be addressed and dealt with. So just keep that in mind, before the relationship can really es- evolve in a healthy way. So, no, it wasn't crazy what Deb felt. And there are a lot of times when we feel embarrassed about the person that we're with. Just know that there are some issues there that need to be worked with internally, or maybe you just feel like, yeah, this isn't the right person for me, and I don't feel good having them around because having this person feels like a lie to myself, and therefore feels like a lie to how the people in the world see me. And if people do see me, I want them to see the true version of myself. I want to be presented and seen as the best version of me, or a good version of me, the real version of me. That is normal. There are so many different sides to us, and sometimes when we feel like we're living a lie, then we don't want to show the world that ugly lie that we tell ourselves, or that we portray ourselves to be. So when you are more in tune with the truth of who you are, and you attract a partner who is more truth of who you are, then you feel more happy and confident to show them off into the world. Also, with the symbolism of that scene in the Dexter lore, I guess, whatever. Anton really representing a happy, normal life, a normal life. Deb kind of turning away from that really does show that, yeah, she does have a lot of issues that she has to work through. But a lot of the times, and whenever we are in relationships or a romance, we tend to attract or go for people or partners that are more connected to our dark sides and through our unresolved issues rather than, the normal sides of us. Normalcy in relationships is basically a human concept or human idea, but relationships really seem to be magnetic through a lot of tragedy or a lot of darker things or through our traumas. That's usually what attracts us to each other. So, even though she found a good guy, she's not quite ready for that kind of a lifestyle because she still has other unresolved dark issues inside of her that need to be addressed, which manifests in season 4 as Lundy and Deb having her father issues. Thank you for listening to this. And yes, this is season 3 of Dexter Partnerships. Um, do the best you can, and with life and what you have in hand. And yeah, can't wait to do season 4, which if I have the time, I'll do that tonight. Have a good night, and thank you.